Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bed Tech Show, where your hosts, Ben and Ethan, generally share tech news at bedtime. We've got a special episode for you all tonight. We've got a special guest, Cam, with us tonight, and we are going to be doing some super controversial hot takes just purely for everyone's entertainment and so I can have a laugh. So, with that, we'll go ahead and get started. I'll go ahead and share my first hot take for the week. Affirmative action. I think it is a form of race-based discrimination.
Affirmative action, a form of race-based discrimination.
Yeah.
Race-based. Yeah.
Oh,
Let me think. Let that one sink in for a second.
So I can go ahead and
you have authority here, Ethan, because I am a white male Caucasian, so I have little room to speak on this subject. So
okay. So
go ahead.
I'll give a little bit of background on this.
Yes.
For those of you that may not be aware of what affirmative action is, it is a way that universities and colleges allow for selecting candidates to fill their programs. It allows them to use generally like protected characteristics such as a person's race or culture or ethnicity to allow them to have like extra points on their application to bring them into the university to hopefully encourage more diversity within the university, within programs, so that there is a greater mix of individuals from different cultures and different backgrounds within the program. With that, there may be a bit of skewing when it comes to affirmative action, and it may be that the argument is that universities may be favoring a race that has had discrimination in the past, bringing them into the college. Now, me having multiple ethnic backgrounds, have been able to benefit from affirmative action. Got me into college, got me into my law program. However, I feel that affirmative action is crap and a form of race-based discrimination, because it makes me, who may not be any smarter or any worse off than somebody else, it gives me favoritism in that college program, where I feel that a college should appreciate me for my mind. So I feel a little bit used having someone select me over somebody else just because of my race and ethnicity.
So
yeah, interesting. Go ahead, Cam.
So obviously, okay, so I'm a quarter Hispanic, speak Spanish, right? So I'm gonna preface that with this, but also the fact that so I'm not as bad as Ben speaking on this term, because I get a little bit of cachet. But I do, so I do want to play a little bit of devil's advocate here.
Please
maybe
do.
It's not devil, maybe it's just the other side. I do find the benefit of affirmative action in that it brings new ideas and new people to new people, right? Because you think of these top universities, you think of universities, most people have come from. Now, I don't want to discount anybody's experiences or traumas they have. Everyone has traumas on different levels, right? But there's a different perspective of people that grew up in different ways that I think that others in the university can really benefit from. Now, that being said, if you go so diverse that everyone is in a diverse class, and that argument falls flat, right? But I do think that is the benefit of affirmative action, is that the differing of opinions, I think, is very valuable for a lot of students that haven't had the life experiences that other students have. Now, that being said, I think it is for it gives students, and I want to be careful how I say this, it gives students that maybe haven't had all the opportunities or haven't come from a family that they might be a first generation college student. It gives them an idea, a vision of families that are maybe third, fourth generation college students, and it gives them a path to build that for their own family, if that's something that they feel is beneficial for their own family. So that's my counter argument to that, Ethan. But I do hear you, and I do know that there's been politicians in the past that have used this, and to point to small little tiny pieces of there to get ahead. And I think there's a lot of, no matter what kind of rule you use, there'll be people that are use it for negative ways and to get ahead. So there's my 2 cents on it. Ben, what do you think?
Interesting take. Yeah. I'm going to lean on Ethan's side on this one. And it's, I mean, classic white man saying that, right? Classic, I'm just going to fit the mold here, but I'm going to say why. I think initially the intent of affirmative action was to get to where you're talking about, Cam. And I think that's great. I love diversity. I think it's really important to have different opinions, different backgrounds, and everyone share those opinions and respect them, even though there might be disagreements. And the more you can have that, it breeds progression, it breeds creativity, it breeds synergy, and melting pot, which is America. And those are the things that we love about America, is like people from all different backgrounds being able to respect each other and be unified. That's the ideal America, right? I think it's been abused to where there are issues with it, in my opinion, where it's becoming so focused on race, less on merit, and less on the goals of what the initial affirmative action was trying to achieve. I think in the past, when I say past, I mean maybe 3-4 decades ago, maybe not even that far, but universities, I do think, were very generational. They would hire they would recruit from big donors, from alumni, legacy generations of legacy graduates. And often, especially at like Ivy League schools, those are the rich, wealthy, white Caucasians, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there weren't like a lot of opportunities for people of background of different colors and ethnicities to attend those, because I do think there was like preference. But I think now the world is so focused on diversity that it would be kind of dumb for these universities to be like 80% Caucasian legacy alumni or like big donor enrollees. So now I think there is a huge shift in focus of, let's almost turn a blind eye to merit and only go after diversity. And that can be dangerous because then you bring in people who may not be living up to the standard of what needs to be in order for progression, creativity, innovation to happen. And you're bypassing people who may not have an ethnic background, but are very qualified, that are deserving of going to those universities, but they're getting shut out. So right now I kind of lean on Ethan's side on this one. And it's funny because I was golfing early this morning with my friend. And he works for a big accounting firm. I will not say which one, but he was telling me that one of his good buddies was a managing director of 17 years waiting to be partner at this firm. And he was a Caucasian dude. But he had done audit on a public and a private level. So New York Stock Exchange auditing and private level auditing. He was passed up for partnership. He's 17 years in. He was passed up for partnership by someone that was 10 years, never done a public audit before, private only, female, Hispanic. And
wow,
there was a lot of push because of her diversity. And to him, he, a lot of people at the firm were like, that's kind of crazy. That's a 7-year experience gap, 7 years, almost double. And no public accounting experience, like no actual public auditing experience, which
Mhm.
is kind of wild. Anyway, so I think, and I have family who've experienced things like this, and I think it's important to have diversity. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's important to weigh that in with merit to make sure that there's no ignorance happening and like blatant discredit to people who are deserving of being enrolled or having the right promotion or whatever it might be. Granted, again, I recognize where I'm coming from. And blonde hair, blue eyed, white dude from Southern California, probably not the best to speak on this. So that's my take. That's my hot take, guys.
Then I just wanted just one last thing on that is I have seen people that of diverse backgrounds get that opportunity and and just weren't, if they were set up to fail, and the fact that they weren't ready for that opportunity. And then are you doing more harm than good is the question. I don't know, but I have seen people have gone opportunities because of their diverse background, and they just weren't ready for them. Just
Yeah,
can't,
that's a really
and
good
then
question.
they failed. And then, like I said, I don't know you, and the people that I know that have done this are, I would think, probably in a worse situation than if they would have may have gone a different route. So
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. Is that doing more harm than good? Is that like if you do set them up for failure, does it uh like add fuel to the fire of maybe inherent bias or stereotypes?
mhm,
And it hurts
And
the credibility of like the selection committee
mhm.
yeah,
um,
true. Yeah.
on any level, whether it be like a company level or a university level. You know, if that type of situation, you know, like all credibility is lost.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it loses also motivation, because if you were someone, I mean, it kind of loses motivation some and maybe not for others. Because if you were working that audit firm and you were like, man, if I work here for 17 years, am I going to get passed up? And then you
Yeah.
might not be as motivated, you know. Just food for thought. So
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's yeah, like I said, I've had close family members who are at executive levels who are like much more qualified for positions get passed up because they just white straight male, you know. And I'm not saying that's like the only thing that you get passed up for, but like there's just I think there's too much of a focus on ignoring merit. So
Yeah,
that's kind of why I
it
agree.
it seems like it's going beyond the original intent
Yeah,
of
yeah,
what it
I
was.
agree. I think we all can agree that initially it has good intent. So there needs to be balance there. But great hot take there, Ethan.
Hey, thanks.
maybe there's a better way. We just gotta find it.
Yep. Yep.
Probably, I should probably put it into Chat GPT. Maybe they can give me an answer.
Speaking of that, Cam, and this is one thing that when I was younger, I asked my dad about, and maybe this is a touchy subject, but my dad's a pretty smart dude, and I respect my dad a lot. And I asked him when I was really young, like dad, how come like education and like schools are really bad in urban areas that have like, you know, high levels of, you know, blacks and African Americans. And my dad's like, I'm like, are they like, do you think like they're like people are just dumber? And he's like, no, like I don't think that. He said the thing that I think is such a problem is they're not dumber. It's that they're not enabled to understand like the questions that they're given in tests. And as a result, they can't answer them effectively. So, for example, like if you grew up speaking like slang and ebonics, right? But you given this very formal test from a very rigid school system, like you're not going to really like understand what they're trying to ask you. But if you communicate it in the right way, they probably know the answer or they're smart enough to figure it out. And it's just like they're just not enabled to have that education to like prove their intelligence. And I think that's like because of that, I think testing can be a really bad portrayal of like levels of success and intelligence.
Yeah.
And I think that was like kind of an eye opener for me, is like that's a really good point. Like, I don't think people are necessarily dumber than other people. It's just a matter of how they were taught and enabled and empowered to like prove their intelligence, you know?
Yeah.
Granted,
Standardized
people have to do
tests,
their own work, but
standardized tests, I think, is like literally the worst thing of testing intelligence.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Because everyone learns differently and everyone expresses their intelligence differently. And I think standardized testing, it's paints such a broad brush. It's unfair.
Very-
And also it can be like really demotivational to people who can't understand or haven't been given the opportunity to understand that as well. And then they're being forced to take that. And then it creates more negative affects for the rest of their life just because of that instance.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true. That's a really good point.
definitely true.
Big impact, which is unfair.
Like, oh, tested bad at standardized tests. I'm dumb. I'm not going to try at school. I'm not going to work. And therefore, I'm just not going to, like, you know. And I don't think education is a measure of success, but it's definitely, as the system is set up, it definitely is the path to get there usually, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I think that applies to like anyone. I mean, in the context of the conversation I had, I was asking about like Blacks and African Americans, but I think that just applies to anyone who's not enabled, you know, like that could even be like people in the South that are white trash, you know, like maybe they are dumb, you know, inbreeding causes that. Okay. I understand that. My people have that. I understand. But at the same time, maybe they're not dumb and they're just not empowered, you know? So, and I think that's kind of where affirmative action tries to make up for it, but it's gone a little far.
I've always done terrible at standardized tests, but that's because I didn't know until after undergrad that I was dyslexic, right? So, and so it wasn't a sign of success or a sign of intelligence, really. So
yeah. See, I think like there's probably some situations like that. So
yeah, for sure.
Interesting hot take. Good hot take. Cam,
Like
what's yours?
So mine is that, you know, we've lived, I just to give the audience a little background, I come from the Silicon Valley. I grew up in a place called Union City, California. Not too far from Google and Apple and whatnot. So I'm a kind of Silicon Valley born and raised. And I think that in the next 5 years, we will have one, if not two more tech giants companies. And I think that the reason I think that's a hot take is because when you think of tech giants, you think like, man, how can anyone get to the size or the head start that Apple and Google and Facebook have? But I think that, so I haven't seen innovation to this scale and this much excitement in the tech industry and AI since smartphones, right? And if you take, I heard this the other day and it was mind-boggling. Windows 3 came out in 1993. 15 years later came the iPhone, right? And so like the innovation was exponential in those 15 years, right? And I think that, and last thing I think I said is I've seen as innovative as what AI is to the common consumer is the smartphone. So I think whoever can harness that and harness AI and has the agility of being a small, nimble player that can be quick at adaptation and be creative in it, I think can grow very fast and get to a size of a tech giant. So we will have one, if not two more, I feel like.
I think that's an interesting take. I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
Okay.
I think there is a high chance that's true, except for the fact that big tech are protective and they eat whoever is competing against them.
I hear you.
So I think that anyone who's going up, that's up and coming when it comes to AI, big tech is going to just say, we're buying you out. We're going to make you an offer you can't refuse. And that's that. I mean, look at OpenAI. Like, I don't know if they're fully owned by Microsoft, but Microsoft,
49% interest.
what's that? 49?
Yep. So
Okay.
not fully owned.
2%, that's coming in a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be surprised when they just get fully acquired by Microsoft. But if any, in my opinion, if anyone's gonna become big that's not acquired, it's them.
Yeah,
One
no,
to
I
two big
thought that
tech.
too. Definitely, it's definitely, and when you're in PEVC Central of Sand Hill Road, right where all the tech companies are, I have thought about that.
Yeah. And like, I think to the point, like all of these major tech companies, these major players, they have so much cash and the ability to, whether a company decides to take an offer or not, it won't matter. So for instance, like if, not saying that Microsoft would, but Microsoft could say to OpenAI, hey, we're going to give you this offer to acquire your entire company. They could say no and say, we've got all the patents and everything. And Microsoft's going to be like, okay, we're just going to steal all of this.
Mhm.
And we have the legal resources that it's not going to matter what you do to us. And you can't stop it.
Yeah.
Beat their
That's a
lawyer.
fair point. They can just strong arm it and be like, yeah, and then if you come after us, we'll fight that battle.
Yeah.
Also, you can make the argument. I'm sorry, I love making the counter argument. Also, they have a ton of money. They're like, okay, you've made this, but we have the best scientists in the world. We have the best engineers in the world. It's better. It's open, so we can make it better. Like,
Yeah.
so we could put a ton of money behind this that you can't. So the only way someone would be able to do this is to use the ability to be nimble and quick that big organizations don't have.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. That's a fair point. They have to be able to move fast. Because big organizations, the bigger you get, the harder it is to move fast, make decisions. There's a lot more red tape, a lot more signatures need to happen. Like too many chefs in the kitchen.
Yeah.
You know.
So because of
Interesting.
that, and because I think we're in a stage of hyper innovation right now with a new technology that I think will revolutionize our lives, that I feel will revolutionize our lives. I feel that someone, if not one or two organizations, will become huge, and there will be another big player in the big tech space. So,
Do you think? Oh, go ahead, Ethan. Go ahead.
So what you're telling me is that I need to add more initials to Fang. So I can't just use that anymore.
I think like just every IPO you see of a AI sort or AI company, just throw money at that.
Throw
IPO.
money at that.
So my question is this, and I mentioned my opinion that if anyone's going to go and become big tech on their own, it's OpenAI. Do you think we've seen one of these companies already, or do you think it has yet to be created, grown, announced?
I think it's yet to be creative grown. I think we're on. So when I started, so just to give like the audience a little background, I've been in tech investment banking for 6 years. When I started as a tech investment banker, everything, and I'm sure the audience is very sophisticated. They all know that investing in tech goes through cycles and waves and like heat things. Like at one point, like the Uber kind of model was like the hot thing to take to invest in, right? The gig economy was everything you invest in. When I started, it was when I started investment banking, VR and augmented reality was kind of fading out, and machine learning AI was kind of hyping up. Now, because the average consumer didn't see the result of that, and there wasn't a ton of results, it kind of died down. But now with OpenAI and with things, I think we're still in grassroots early stages. And I think there are companies that are coming about this. I think Google is doing it very well, but I think they're very methodical and very slow. But I think they're doing a good job. I think Microsoft's doing a good job. But also the same, very methodical and very slow. And I think if someone with the right intelligence can kind of move in and take a ton of market share at a fast rate, very fast, right? Like Netscape, you think back at Netscape, that thing sold for $4 billion to Apple, or sorry, to AOL. And I mean, it like from starting to IPO, I think it was like 15 months or 15 to 18 months or something, you know. I think this will be a very, very quick thing. So
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, you bring up Netscape and like that's a throwback, man.
Yeah.
That's a throwback
Tyler,
for
but
sure.
right
if
there.
we were in 2000 and whatever, Netscape would have been like, you know, you would have been thinking of Netscape as one of the big, you know, not like, I'm not saying it's like Apple or Microsoft, but it was up there, you know, it was like, this is a big
Oh, yeah.
company, right?
It was like that's the browser you
I mean, it
use.
sold for four, I think over 4 billion to AOL, right? So, and that's just an example of how quick it is, you know, how quick that turn will be. I think it will be. So,
Okay, so I have an interesting question. With how fast that AI has been evolving just this year alone,
mhm.
do you think that OpenAI's AI model could counteract like a hostile takeover from a company and maybe like diversify itself from that company and create another shell company that nobody is aware of yet?
So I'm not familiar enough with the capital structure of OpenAI to comment on if I think they can resist a hostile takeover. I think I'm not sure if they have some hostile takeover things built into their
Poison pill.
poison pill. So I probably couldn't comment on that, just I'm not knowledgeable enough of the situation. But I do like their fact that it's open. The thing I think that between like what I think, why I don't think OpenAI is the answer is because it's text based, and I think that the consumers will get bored of text based in the world we live in now, and I think people need to see AI. And I'm not talking about people that are tech people. I'm talking about your mom, your dad, like Joe Schmo on the street. They need to see how AI can help them right now on different use scenarios rather than just text. And so,
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. I kind of agree with that actually, that whoever's able to apply AI more than just on a tech level and like a creative, I feel like people who use open AI and Chat GPT, those are the creators that are trying to build things, innovate on things and progress things. They're kind of solopreneurs or entrepreneurs or people who are innovative. And I don't think that's everyone. That's like a small percentage of the average layman. And if there's, like you were saying, if there's a company that can be quick and nimble and taking AI and applying it to someone's everyday life, like creating the microwave, but like a AI type of impact, you know, like what I mean is the microwave impacted everyone's lives so much.
Mhm.
And if someone can do that with AI, impact everyone's lives so much daily, then they're going to become,
make the market size that much bigger, because right now it's just early adopters, right? It's just tech people. But if you can make the market size like an iPhone, right, and put that and revolutionize and put that into everyone's pocket and change like the mindset of everyone, right? That's where, and I think that will be done. Like I think that will be accomplished. It's just whoever's going to do it, I think, is going to be the sky's the limit for that.
Yeah. Ethan, to your point, I kind of like the idea. Now, I do and I don't, but I like the idea of AI playing chess against these big tech companies and kind of outsmarting them.
Yeah.
But I also don't like it because I'm like, holy crap, machines are better than us. They're
Yes.
smarter than us. That's a bad sign. Shut it down. Red button. Shut it down. You
I
know,
know.
like
I think it's inevitable, Ben, that machines and AI are going to be smarter than us. But that's not something I think that we need to be afraid of. And I know that maybe that's a hot take in its own.
ooh, that is a hot take.
That is
That's a hot take.
Yeah.
That is a hot take.
Because I think that so is a calculator smarter than me? Yeah, kinda, right? On certain things, right? There's things calculators can't do, right? There's things, no matter, even if the AI is smarter than me, there's things AIs can't do that I can do, right?
Right now.
And
Right now.
yeah, yeah. I think that the only the people that are going to lose their jobs are the people that don't know, that don't adapt to the AI.
I mean, I agree to an extent of that. You know, like you make a very valid point. Like a calculator within the scope of the abilities of the calculator, yeah, it's smarter than me. You know, but with that being said, AI's scope of capability is insanely bigger than a calculator. And
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
and so that's the scary thing is that the scope of ability is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And that is starting to overlap with humans' responsibilities and capabilities. And so the more overlap there is, that's where the scarier it gets, right?
Mhm.
Because more and more people are going to wake up and realize, wait a sec, that's what I do. Wait a sec, that's why I get paid. Hold on here. And so I agree with you to the extent like humans need to be able to control and leverage the AI and its capabilities, because then we start playing, you know, long-term game and we start playing chess and we let AI do all the smart checkers moves and the hard work, you know.
Exactly.
But
Like, an AI is only as intelligent as the input, right? Like, if I ask, for example, right now, and I know we're still early stages, but if I ask ChatGPT to like write something for me, if I don't give it the right input, it could be completely off the rails, right? And so, like,
Right.
just like a calculator, it's only gonna give you the right calculation if you put the right input, right?
yeah,
And so, I think that being the intelligent. Also, if you want to talk about taking this back to the first point of affirmative action, if you want to talk about equality, I think AI, in my opinion, you can tell I'm like an AI disciple. I think AI is the answer to inequality, because if someone, so ultimately, there's IQ. We just know that some people are just naturally have a higher IQ and just straight up more intelligent than others. That's just
yeah,
fact, right?
yep,
But if you're walking around every day with a personal assistant, an AI that has an IQ of 140, 150, that puts you on a more equal playing field than as someone that automatically has that IQ,
yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And so I think AI is the ultimate. And now I'm getting very preachy and very like on my discipleship of AI, but I think it's the ultimate leveling playing field for everyone.
That's a
So
valid point. And I think there's a
Interesting.
concept behind that for Elon Musk's like Neuralink. You know, he's trying to make
exactly,
humans on evil playing field, even playing field with like, let's say machines when they start to become really smart and sentient and start doing things on their own.
yeah.
I think he wants us to be, you know, at a level where we all can think faster, make faster decisions, have knowledge at, you know, a fraction of a millisecond. But anyway, Ethan, I think you were going to say something. Sorry.
No, you're good. You guys already said what I was going to say. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting how much how we as a society use AI and whether it will be a tool or become something more.
It's going to take a lot of headwinds. Actually, it's going to face a lot of headwinds. I'm sorry, because we're conditioned. Sharks were not too dangerous until Jaws came out. I mean, they're still dangerous, but they weren't looked at as like evil until Jaws came out. We grew up with Terminator, with like all these movies. We're
Yeah.
conditioned to think AI is going to take over our world and be, so
Yeah.
it's going to face a lot of headwinds for sure.
Yeah. True. True. All right. You want me to just talk about
Yeah.
my hot takes?
Go for it, Ben.
All right, I'll let you guys choose. I've got 3 hot takes. One is more a serious sport hot take. Another one is a comedic, lighter sport hot take. And the other one is a somewhat political hot take.
Oh,
Ooh.
well, I'm naturally gonna say sports, but
I know Cam's a sports fan.
I'm a
We'll do
sports
that- we'll do
fan
the-
too.
but if it's the Dodgers winning the World Series, I don't want to hear it. That's not even that hot take. It's not getting away.
No, we've already had that discussion off the podcast. I'll do the comedic one to just kind of lighten the mood a little bit. All right. I cannot stand this, and I've played it myself. And I apologize if you guys really enjoy this. Pickleball is the sport for old people and retired douchey frat boys. Okay, that's what the sport's for,
That's
and
a
I
hot take.
cannot stand it. Like,
That's
That is a
take
hot
right
take.
there.
like I cannot stand it. Like, and people are so proud. People in their mid-30s are so proud of being able to play pickleball, and I'm like, go
And
play
they brag
tennis,
about it.
play a real sport. And I see these social media reels of people doing like cheeky trick shots where like your partner stands in front of you and then the other team doesn't know where you're going to hit it and you dink it over. That's the word, dink. That's the word they use in the sport, dink. How lame is that? And you dink it over the net to score a point. You really? It's a dumb game and you have to trick the other team to score a point? You're a douchey frat boy. I'm sorry. Like, get out of here. I can't stand it. I don't even break a sweat when I play duos. Anyway, that's my hot take. I can't stand pickleball. I'm
Ethan,
sorry.
you go first.
I agree with you. I can't stand it either. I hate that they're like they've made actual specific pickleball courts.
Yeah.
And I
yeah.
hate that people bring their pickleball stuff to a tennis court. I want to play tennis.
Yes.
And if I'm going there, I'm going to play tennis, not some stupid pickleball. If I wanted to play pickleball, it's because I was incapacitated or I was just so unathletic that I couldn't play tennis
Yeah.
or
Like-
ping pong.
Like, physical therapists recommend pickleball for people who are injured. It's like, all right, go play some pickleball, ease back into exercise. It's like, go for a walk. That's my take on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's back into exercise. I like that.
He's back into exercise. Go play some pickleball. Okay, dink.
Yeah.
Dink,
I mean, honestly, I think we should bring back tennis. Tennis,
Agreed.
that is a classy sport. It has some finesse. It brings some
yeah.
cachet to it. Let's bring
Oh,
it back and get rid of pickleball.
I agree 100%. Side note, speaking of tennis, if you guys haven't seen the Netflix series Breakpoint, it's like a tennis docudrama series on tennis pros. So good. Highly recommend it. Go watch it. Anyway, Cam, what's your take on this?
So I this is a very hot take, by the way, because I just looked it up, and just to confirm, pickleball is the fastest growing sport, obviously, in the United States right now.
Yeah.
So 158% growth over the last 3 years, which is just astronomical. And as being an investment banker, I've met with startups trying to cash in on the pickleball craze, right?
They're too late.
Probably. But I was talking to Ethan before we started, and I was telling him how I don't like wakeboarding anymore because the falls hurt too much. And so now I like the wake surf, right? As I'm getting older. So I guess it's kind of like tennis is too much running. I'm gonna play pickleball now because it's a lot less running. It's a lot easier on my joints. So I guess I agree with it too. That's it's for old people, maybe. I don't know. But I feel cool when I'm wake surfing, but it hurt. It hurts a lot less than wakeboarding. So
That's fair. I agree with you 100% on the wakeboard and wake surf situation. So I can kind of see the situation there.
Tennis is like, it's physically draining. I mean, I don't play tennis a lot, but I mean it's just shuttle runs like nonstop. It's very
it's
athletic.
true.
It's very
true.
athletic, and the less you have to
it's-
walk and run, you know. So And
Like-
I'm sure there's plenty of people that love playing pickleball. Hey, it's a good workout. I'm sure it is, and I just don't know if it's as good of a workout as tennis. Probably,
It's
would
nowhere
be,
near. It's nowhere near. Especially when I play doubles. Like when my friends, like guys like my age who are like, I think they're athletic, like we go play doubles pickleball and I'm barely moving and I'm dinking it over. And like we play maybe 3 games and they're like, oh man, I'm tired. I'm like, bro, I'm not even warmed up. What are you talking about? Tired? Like maybe one-on-one, that's fun. Okay. I'll give it that. But even one-on-one pickleball, that should not give pickleball fanatics the massive ego they have that they're good at pickleball. Like they think they're the shiz, man. They're like, dude, this is my court, bro. We were here. I got a $400 paddle. I'm like, bro, it's plastic. I got plastic too. Like, it's the dumbest thing. Like, what's special about your paddle? What, like leather from Siberia or something? Like, come on, get off it. You know,
It's
like
made with a real
no one
kitten.
cares. It's so stupid. Yeah, I
I
just
got a
can't
question for you
stand it.
guys. How many plus or minus 3 Olympics? How long did it take until it gets in the Olympics?
I
Oh,
hope never. I hope never. But because it's growing so fast, I'll
it
say 3
probably will.
Olympics.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Maybe
say
5.
3 too.
Maybe 5. Maybe 5.
Five
Olympics.
more Olympics.
I'm
That
gonna
gives
go
us,
3.
What, 4?
Well, it'd be summer games, and that's every
Yeah.
4 years. So
4
3
years.
Olympics, like 12,
Oh,
maybe
that
12 years.
it might be
Yeah,
even
so-
less than that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say
It might
3 to
t-
4. I'm gonna say 3 to 4.
LA's coming up
I
in
just can't
2028.
stand. I cannot like. I can't stand if it would be in the Olympics. We're talking about. You got soccer. You got water polo. Cam, you know water polo, like brutal sport. You got wrestling, and then you got
Oh,
40-year-olds dinking on pickleball on the Olympic stage. No,
well, I guess
like,
the curlers have something to say about this, Ben.
dude. No curlers. Oh, they are strategy. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, that's up to the HNL. Whole nother level.
I agree. Agreed at 100%, Ethan. I feel like the ancient Greece athletes would be disgraced at pickleball players.
They're
being in the
rolling
Olympics.
over in their graves.
Hey, that's my hot take.
That's a good one.
That's a good
Anyone
one.
who invites me to pickleball, I will come play. Just know that either I'm gonna have 0 energy because I really don't care, or I'm gonna try and get the craziest workout in pickleball ever, and you're not scoring a point against me. I'm gonna be all over that 10-foot court, 10 feet. That's like 3 lunges for me. Okay, get out of here. Pickleball
You would take up more space playing ping pong.
Some of those ping pong players get way back.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my hot take.
I like it. Okay. I have a really controversial one. And it's kind of lighthearted.
All right.
GIF is pronounced with a hard G.
I knew this would come up.
Oh, no.
I knew this would come up. This is the classic hot take of the century. I am team
Wait, how do you
GIF.
pronounce it, Ethan?
I pronounce it with a hard G, and it's GIF.
I'm a GIF.
Oh no.
You are not. You are
I'm a
not.
No.
Yes,
I'm a GIF
Cam.
guy.
Team GIF all the way.
Wait, are you a GIF guy too?
I'm
Ben?
a GIF guy, but out of respect for those who don't understand proper pronunciation, I say GIF. But under my mask, I am
No.
a GIF guy.
I do understand proper pronunciation, and it is GIF.
Oh yeah, is it giraffe as well? Do you like going to the zoo and seeing the giraffes?
Well, do you like being with the guy or the jai?
It's GI. It's GI. Gist, gin, giraffe. I'm just saying.
I
GIF.
want to respect the creator who
Yeah,
pronounced
that's
it GIF. And so therefore I'm respecting the talented, brilliant mind of the creator who said it's GIF. So I'm gonna go with that.
That's the ultimate argument. I'm sorry.
I like have you guys seen when Bryce Harper is like, are you gonna make a meme out of me now?
No,
No,
he said
you gonna
meme.
make a meme out of me?
No,
No.
a meme.
It makes me think of the GIF thing.
Yo,
Or
that's a really
the other
funny
one is
meme.
RVCA versus, it's pronounced Ruka. It is
Yeah,
Ruka,
Ruka.
but it's spelled RVCA.
I
But the
know.
B is actually supposed to be a U because it's pronounced Ruka, and that's because the creator said it's the opposites, but it's really Ruka. So
Yeah, it took me a while to learn about that. Actually, I would always call it RVCA, and then I for those listening, they were a client of mine. Billabong and Ruka were a client of mine, and so that's when I found out, like, oh, it's Ruka. Jeez,
yeah,
I've been pronouncing it
if you
wrong the
go
whole
into
time.
that building as a client instead call it RVCA, they probably look at you funny.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Like I was talking to one of like the people I was working with that was on the job, and I was like, "Oh, sick, Billabong and RVCA, we're gonna audit them." And then someone's like, "It's Ruka. Like you got to make sure you get that right. It's Ruka." And I was like, "Oh, shoot. Yeah." Anyway, pretty funny.
That's a good take, Ethan. That's a never ending. That's a never ending.
Yeah.
I mean, I was googling it while you were talking about it. I mean, there's a CNN article from 2013 about it.
Oh yeah,
Still,
it's just
it's still
so
going to
controversial.
this day.
So funny story about this. I was on Call of Duty playing with Dylan DeFonce. And if you know Dylan, he is so funny. He's so goofy.
Oh,
And he
he's
and I
like
go
the
way
funniest
back.
guy.
Yeah, we're childhood friends. Dylan's the type of guy that's like gonna push you to your limits of like adrenaline rush. And like he's a hype guy, he's a yes guy. He's like, come on, man, let's do, like he'll come up with a crazy idea. You think he's joking, and he's like, no, like let's go do it, man. Let's go. And then
Yeah, he's the kind of
10
guy that
minutes
uses a
later,
taser in a cabin in the
yes.
mountains
Yeah, exactly.
on
Exactly.
himself.
So Dylan and I were playing Call of Duty with our other friend Troy, our zookeeper friend Troy. And I mentioned, hey dude, I'm sending you a GIF. And he's like, what? And I said, a GIF. And that just sparked this insane debate. Oh my gosh. For the
That's
next like
actually
half
why I thought
hour.
Ethan brought this up. I thought he was continuing that debate.
I
I
kind of
mean,
was, yeah.
probably, yeah. I mean, yeah.
This was months ago.
Yeah.
And well, initially it was Troy and I, or Dylan and I, with a text thread with Troy. And Dylan and I, we end playing Call of Duty at like midnight. And Dylan and I are on a text thread with Troy. We brought Troy in the conversation because he was on comms with us. And we're going to like 2 a.m, just back and forth. And Troy the next day is like, bro, I woke up to like 50 plus messages from you
I was
guys.
about to say, because then it went to the broader text group, and I remember one time I was like at work, and I looked down at my phone, and I'm like, I have like 100 text messages in this group, and I go through, it's all just like, it's Skip, it's
Yeah, exactly, dude. It's so controversial, but it's so funny when you get into an argument with people about it. Great
Love
hot
it.
take. That is the classic hot take of the century. I don't think people will ever agree on that.
No,
Like
we never
World
will.
War III will probably start over that, you know?
And see what I find fun, like bringing that up in an interview for people just to kind of see their thought process and
gosh.
how they think.
Oh,
Like, I mean,
gosh.
knowing that there's like really no right answer to that, and just seeing how a candidate what their thought process is, and if like you counter them to see whether they'll go with you or whether they will stick with their already
With
made
their
up
guns?
opinion. Yeah,
Dude, I can just see Ethan in an interview, like both dressed in a
Brutal.
suit, and Ethan's like, "This is a great interview. You're a strong candidate. I have one last question." Ethan slides a piece of paper over to him.
How do you pronounce it?
Pronounce this word. They're just sweating bullets. Looking at you.
Brutal. That's brutal.
I don't know. Yeah, that's funny. I should do that next time I hire someone.
you should. It's great.
Cam, you have any other hot takes?
I got one, but I gotta say, I came prepared with tech hot takes, so it's another tech one.
That's
Oh, no,
fine.
that's great.
I like tech hot takes.
And this is, and I can completely see myself watching this in 10 years. Like, you're such an idiot for this take, because because it's not the way the world's going right now. But I think VR will not catch on.
Ooh.
I think, and I know a lot of people are putting a lot of money on that other side, and it's not. The momentum is that VR is the future of entertainment and just life. And I know, obviously, Zuck would definitely go against me on this one.
Same
the
with
metaverse.
Apple.
But and so would Apple. You're right. But I think augmented reality has a good shot, but I don't think VR will catch on.
Ethan, thoughts? I'll let you go first.
I agree and in part and disagree in part. I think Meta will not go far. Now, maybe virtual reality, as we see it in like Ready Player One, I think that has potential, but there needs to be a lot more bandwidth, a lot more experiences, and just a greater imagination than what Meta is trying to come up with. And I don't think Meta has the imagination or the complexity to be able to pull that off. And so for that, I think if Meta is going to be the end all be all of virtual reality, it will fail. That's my hot take. But I really like virtual reality, and I think that it has a lot of potential benefits as a tool, and I would love to see it grow and to expand.
I agree. I don't think it fits the broader, going back to the broader market. I think it fits more of a tech-based market than a broader everyday. If you're gonna equate it to some like an iPhone and everyone's gonna have it, I just don't see it.
Yeah.
So I agree with you on this, Cam. Actually, this is something that Ethan and I have talked about a couple times on our podcast is VR. And I agree. I don't think VR is going to stick. I don't think it has, and I don't think it will. The only time I can see it sticking is if other technologies progress to make individuals' lives so convenient that they don't feel the need to go outside and experience the real world. And therefore, they just want to do everything from inside their home in a chair. And essentially, I think of the people in WALL-E that are just in a chair.
I think of that too. I think of that too. Yeah.
But just add VR goggles. That's it. You know? And like that's what they're at. That's the only way I think it's successful if everything else progresses so much that life is so convenient that they don't feel the need to even go outside, because it's like, oh, why do I need to do that? Like, there's no need to do that. I can do everything at home. But I don't think we'll get there. I think there's too many enthusiasts who enjoy the real world. I don't think technology will ever be able to match our body's sensory and neural system. I don't think we'll ever be able to match that from a virtual perspective. And as a result, I think it will always be lacking, and it won't take off. Like you guys were saying, I can only really see it being applicable to a niche market in the tech industry. Like, I can see gamers adopting it
for sure,
because it's just that line of progression almost, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Meta was saying, like, oh, we have the metaverse. And it's like any gamer sees it as like, that's a game lobby, bro. Like, come on. We've been doing that on WoW and like all these other games for, years.
Right.
So yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. VR is not going to
we don't
last.
have to spend too much time on it because I know you guys have talked about in the past. It's just my kind of opinion on it. So
yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's probably a VR enthusiast who are like, no, like, oh, it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna change the world.
Just general. There's a lot of, and just the tech industry in general, I would say, believes in it very much so. Like Apple, Meta. I mean, the big players they're
investing so much into that.
Yeah,
they are.
And I think, like, in order for it to even have the potential to become mainstream, it has to bring some sort of value to users. And right now, VR as it isn't bringing enough value to generate new users and generate a good consistent player base or
I agree.
user base.
Yeah, I think the learning curve, the price point, and a few other things are hindrances to new users and adoption of it.
Yeah.
Now, augmented reality,
I was going to ask about that. Tell us more.
So I think that we won't get to a point where we are just going to put on headsets and just sit in our like the Wall-E, right? I
Yeah.
don't believe in that. But enhancing our current experiences, and then going back to my original point with AI, I think that is something that I can really see catching on, becoming mainstream. And what I mean by like enhancing, say you take, I just think as humans, we just love exploring, we love nature, we love being out, we love talking, we love seeing people. You can implement augmented reality and enhance all of those experiences that much more. Oh, that tree over there is a white bark from was made in 19 whatever, you know, like it's like this old, it's like this tree, and like that's really cool. I mean, how many times do you guys go down Google, you know, like what is this, like, you know, those kinds of things, right? But if you have it, like maybe say, I don't know what it looks like, maybe in your glasses, and it's just constantly like all around you everywhere. I think that's something very valuable, and I think that's something that I see a lot of people becoming mainstream and very adopted in.
Have you? So I have a question about this, but you reminded me of something that's really funny. There's this guy who's like, he acts like he's autistic, okay? And he goes outside and he's like roaming through the outside. He's like, huh. He like grabs a tree. Huh, this is an aspen. You can tell it's an aspen because it is. And then he like keeps going. And he's like just this ridiculous guy. It's so stupid. But when you said like, oh yeah, you can have like augmented reality to tell you the information, the flowers and the trees, I like thought of that. Like augmented reality, you can tell it's an aspen because it is.
And then I think like if you implement AI and it learns you, like, hey, that person's really into botany, but that person's really into automobiles or whatever, like that's a, you know, I have my augmented reality glasses on or whatever that might, like I said, it might look like, and like that's a 2000. They probably already know that, but then you can be like, you know, it maybe there's some type of like built-in kind of, you know, sound, like this is what's wrong with its, you know, carburetor or what, you know, like whatever your field is, and as it learns you, it can stop. Like if you don't care about the tree, right, it's not going to tell you much about the tree. But if you care about this and it starts to learn your preferences and learn you, I think it could be very beneficial, and just like kind of like going back to like the Elon like neuro, you know, something like that, but less like invasive, I guess you could say.
Yeah. A lot more control. You can control it a lot more.
Yeah,
and
because you can
limit
take it
a
off.
lot more.
Right. So
You know, there's a lot of cool things I was thinking of. Like, imagine if you wear glasses that have augmented reality. In AI is integrated. It knows you, and let's say you're walking down the street in the city. Maybe it links you with other people who are the same interests. Like, oh, hey, Joe Schmo over there also loves the Dodgers or whatever, and it's like you can create conversations and you can create, you know, talk tracks. You can help people. You can be alerted of things. I think it's really cool. I think you're right. Augmented reality just further advances and enhances our current way of living.
yeah.
And that is where I think there could be a lot of cool innovation.
Well, like look at your hat right now, right? You're wearing a Dodgers hat, and it goes to show like we're tribal people. By inherently, we're just tribal, and to connect us on different kind of interests, you know, we like to be with other groups. We like to feel connected, right? If it enhances the ability to connect us with your Dodgers fan, to know that without just wearing a Dodgers hat, you know, there's obviously some level of privacy, right? But at this point, privacy is a luxury as it is, right? And so it just kind of it just like it'll connect us on so many more ways and just enhance our ability, enhance all of our abilities, rather than, you know, VR, just having the headset blocking the whole world out. I just don't see that, but enhancing our abilities in the world, I see that.
I agree. It actually really excites me. Ethan, thoughts?
Ooh, I think that if it's done well, Yes, it can. I think it'd be really cool, have augmented reality. You're working on a car. It could overlay every part of it that you need to replace and help you diagnose something in a matter of seconds. Um, However, if it's going to be kind of gimmicky, if you're going to have to be tethered to a battery,
Mm,
I'm looking at you, Apple.
yeah,
You
A
know,
wire.
it's not
yeah,
gonna work.
it's going to make it, or have it such at a high price point that adoption's not going to be high. It's
I
it's
think
going to
capitalism
make,
will fix that.
yeah, I think augmented reality is going to have a hard sell until someone brings enough innovation at an affordable price point for users to be able to
I
enjoy
agree.
it.
I agree.
Yeah, that's a really good fair point. That's a fair point. Yeah. Yeah. That makes it more realistic and puts it into perspective of like our current situation.
Yeah. Apple, I mean, they're going about it okay, but they're not bringing anything new to the table. Really. Nothing innovative.
Yeah. It's a lot like Microsoft's HoloLens.
Yeah.
You know?
The problem with Apple, in my opinion, and you could say it's a problem, you could say it's actually, but they like to refine and refine and refine and refine and refine and then go out, right? And usually in hardware, that's a lot of times the better strategy, but it also lacks innovation rather than let's go out and see the bugs and fix it, right? And so, but you can also turn a lot of people off by that. Like if you go out with a self-driving car, it kills one person. Oh, the innovation's done. Like it can also hamper innovation. So, but
Yeah.
Apple's approach, they're just not as innovative as they used to be. I know that's definitely not a hot take, but I
think we all agree on that.
Yeah.
But we all know that. So
Yeah. It's a Tim Cook thing.
yep.
It's all about
Exactly.
money.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking all about money, Ben, do you have a hot take for us
Yeah,
to close us out tonight?
I got two more, but to close this out, I'll leave it with one, and you guys can choose. Do you want the more serious sport one, or do you want the more political hot take?
I don't know.
I'm going to go political just because that's super
Yeah,
controversial.
we started political, might as well end political, right?
All right, here it is.
Looking.
Okay. It's two parts. Carbon neutral is a gimmick, marketing gimmick, and EVs are not good for our ecosystem.
Ooh, I love this.
I'm gonna clap.
And I'll tell you why. Companies that claim carbon neutrality, all they're doing is buying current, already there trees. And they're saying these trees intake X amount of carbon dioxide, and we pump out X amount of carbon dioxide, and they are equal levels. They're not adding more trees. They're not creating more trees. They're not decreasing their output of carbon dioxide. They're just buying trees that are already there under their name and saying like, oh, we're carbon neutral because we own trees that digest carbon dioxide the same amount that we pump it out. And I'm like, all right, you're not really doing anything for the economy. I mean, and not economy, but the ecosystem. And don't get me wrong, there are companies that are coming up with green energy solutions, which I think is great. But a lot of companies are just jumping on the marketing hype, and that really bugs me. And
Nike looking at you, Nike, with the
looking at you, Nike. Yeah. What's
So
going
Ben,
on in China?
are you saying that making a smaller iPhone box and removing the power plug is not going carbon neutral and it's just buying up trees? Is that what you're saying?
Maybe that's more of a profitability trick, Ethan.
I think that's
that is what I'm saying.
Well.
Yeah, like JP Morgan Chase saying that they're carbon neutral and all they did was buy like acres of land. Like, come on, really? What are you doing there? Like,
I think both Ethan and I have very strong feelings on this. I don't know, Ethan, do you want me to go first? Or do you
Yeah,
want
go
to
for it, Cam.
Okay, I have very strong feelings on this. When I was in undergrad, I remember we had a public speaking class and someone get caught up and talked about how EV cars are actually worse for the environment. And he made this whole pitch on how they're actually worse for the environment than non-EV cars. And the main like theory of his argument was the getting rid of the batteries at the end is just so bad for the environment.
And
I
the
think
cobalt needed for the batteries and everything.
Yeah, exactly. And then exactly. The energy, electricity needed to power the batteries as well.
Yeah.
I do think it's kind of funny that one of our most like eco-friendly form of a reliable, powerful form of electricity and energy is nuclear power, but it's been stigmatized so much that like the society is so against it that like we can't even, it's like, and we can barely use it. And it's all based on, again, kind of Hollywood, Chernobyl, like things
Chernobyl and
like
Japan.
Yeah, exactly. Like very niche one-off situations that would probably in our today's technology be very, very unlikely. But the answer is in our lap, and we just like will not accept it, which is I think is also very funny.
People freak out at the word nuclear. They like really freak out about it. But it's by far the cleanest
of the bomb too, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Because you think of a bomb when you think of nuclear too, you think of like Chernobyl, and your first thoughts are negative. So, but really, it's the answer to our power issue.
By far the cleanest energy. By
far.
And the waste, and they like a lot of people like argue against it, like, oh, the waste is actually very, very, very small waste of nuclear power. But anyways, like I said, I think it's very gimmicky. Don't get me wrong. I know Ethan drives a Tesla, and I used to have an electric car myself. I can't say I'm a saint, and I can't say I got it for the environment. I got it for the carpool lane in the Bay Area and the reduced tolls on the bridges. But I definitely do on that whole other note. I definitely am a strong believer that we need to take care of our country, or our world and our environment. And I think we need to do that in responsible ways, and not politicize ways that are just trying to get people maybe some money. It's all about money
and power. Money and power.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I agree with that. Turn. Like, I mean, I think EVs are great, but I don't think EVs should be advertised as a way to save the environment or to save anything. I bought an EV because I wanted the torque, and I wanted to be able to go quick.
Dude, that thing feels so fun.
It's fast.
Just for it. Fast. Oh my gosh.
It's fast.
Yeah.
And so, and like when they're advertising, like, yeah, if you want to save the environment, get an EV, that is completely false, because it does harm the environment more. And I really think all these companies that are trying to say that they're carbon neutral, it is really just a gimmick. And more from a profitability standpoint, more than anything else. Because honestly, if you generally, like, if somebody hears, hey, a company's carbon neutral, they're going to be more willing to purchase the product than something else.
I mentioned Nike. I actually believe that it was it's very top of mind, but I think they want Nike's the number one. They're the top, right? They want to hit the top. They didn't want to go for small players and work their way up. They went. There are lawsuits against other players, but they went straight for the top in fashion. And they have a lawsuit out saying that you're like advertising this as eco-friendly, and you can't back it up, and it's not, right. And we'll see where this lawsuit goes. But I think it's very telling, and I think a lot of people, a lot of companies, whether in fashion or whatever industry it is, it's very in vogue right now to market your thing as eco-friendly. And but that I think with this lawsuit, you're going to see that opens yourself up to a lot of liability. And I think with that, I anticipate there be some companies that start to back away from it more than they had originally jumped straight in, because they see this is a liability risk for us, and we got to be careful here. So
yeah, interesting that you say that, depending on the fallout with Nike's lawsuit, because that breeds a really good point of maybe people second guess, their marketing and their labeling of their products, and reconsider how true they are to telling of like their conscious when it comes to the ecosystem and our world and our environment. I think we all want to see a clean, healthy, strong world, environment, air, but it's frustrating when there are companies that claim to be doing things to help it when they're not, and then they're doing it for profitability.
Yes.
And it's also
Very
frustrating to
frustrating.
see when there's research done to prove that they aren't living true to what they're saying, and then they try and combat it with arguments. It's like, it's kind of ridiculous that there's a debate here. Like, either EVs are or they're not helping the environment, and we need to
Right.
make that established. That needs just to be clear. But there's just, people have objectives, and the more money and power is involved, the more skewed and confusing the messaging is going to get. So
Yeah.
yeah,
there,
really.
there are companies out there that have touted a sustainable product, and they maybe made a sustainable product, but they haven't implemented it into their like offering because it's not bottom line. It doesn't help them.
Yeah.
So don't go out there and claim you're sustainable, or it's frustrating. It's frustrating. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. These companies remind me of the people that always brag that they eat kale. I mean, I don't care if you eat kale, just don't brag about it.
Yeah. It also reminds me of people that play pickleball and claim they're athletes.
I
Come
know.
on. You're not an athlete. You play pickleball, buddy.
You brought golf earlier. They might say golf's not an athlete, Ben.
Dude, that actually, funny enough, my last hot take was, in my opinion, okay, I'm an athlete. I played lots of sports growing up. For me, the hardest sport I've ever played to like be consistent at a skill set at is golf.
Oh, for
I think
sure.
golf is the hardest sport from a technical standpoint.
I tell people all the time, I've played almost every sport, and I play when people ask me what the hardest sport is, I just say all around golf. And I played water polo, right? And I say physically water polo is harder, but
Yeah.
golf is the hardest sport I've ever played.
Yeah. From a technical standpoint, it's just your body has so many hinges and angles and movement to make it consistent, to hit a small ball X amount of yards in the right angle at the right side distance. Oh man, from a technical standpoint, my hot take is golf is the hardest sport.
And I'm just so bad at it that I can't have an opinion on that because I'm just so terrible.
And I've been saying that for years, Ben. So it's not hot with me.
Yeah, and maybe that's not a hot take. Maybe that's a cool take. Maybe everyone that plays golf is
I think it's hot. I think it's hot for sure.
Because there's a lot of people that say that golf isn't a sport.
Isn't a sport? Yeah.
I was probably one of those people until I started playing it consistently. And now that I play it consistently, like I said, I played 18 rounds today.
18 rounds?
18 holes. Sorry. I played one round of 18. Sorry. That's how new I am. I have the lingo just completely wrong. Yeah, I've been playing for the last 12 hours plus, trying to finish my 18 rounds. Anyway, every hole I was with my buddy who's like a scratch golfer. He's really good. And every drive I made the joke, well, Mike, at least, it's exciting because every drive I hit, it's something new. It's to the left, it's to the right, it's far down the middle, it's sky high, it's low across the grass. And I feel like I do my setup the same. I feel like my swing is the same, but it's just not consistent. And I'm like, man, there's just so many things to tweak. Anyway, that's my hot take.
speaking of 18 rounds, I just looked up the world record for the most. It's actually quite funny. This guy, I think he did 1,800 holes in a day, and he's just like he swings and then he like sprints and then swings and sprints and swings. Like he's just trying to get the ball in the hole as fast as he can. He's just like running.
Oh,
I should put a
jeez.
video
He's
of it.
he's like playing polo where he's driving the car with his club out and
Pretty
swings and hits
much.
it as he's driving
Yeah.
the cart. That's funny.
Now that's golf.
That's golf. That is golf.
By the way, I have one last thing to add on your last hot take, Ben.
Sure.
And it's kind of more of a question, and maybe I shouldn't even bring it up because I'm not knowledgeable enough in the situation to say it, but we don't, Ethan, correct me if I'm wrong, is the Tesla battery, it still uses lithium, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
And we don't, and we're the number one like miner of oil and gas. We are definitely not the number one miner of lithium. I think if you do push EV cars, my saying here, and I don't know, and I could be completely wrong on this, is I think it might make us more reliant on other nations. And we've learned from COVID, I would say that's something we want to try to,
Scale back on
a bit, right? Now, don't we like we're always going to need the silicon chips for any car we make, right? So we're still going to need that. So you can make the argument, well, you will still need all the parts from other places. But I mean, I don't know. Just
Yeah,
just
the
an
more self-reliant we can be, the better is the point you're trying to make.
exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
I can
Teslas
understand that.
have 3 different cell chemistries. They're nickel, cobalt, aluminum, and then there's also nickel, cobalt, manganese, and then
Okay.
a lithium ion phosphate type
Oh,
battery.
All right.
And so I know like over the years they've been changing their battery chemistries to make it better and more efficient and whatnot. And I can't recall what the newest cell chemistry that they have out right now.
Yeah, it's just a thought. I just like, the more we can do to be more self-reliant and not, I mean, obviously I believe trade is a good thing, but also at the same time, like when the world shuts down, we've learned that it's not always the best to rely
Yeah.
on supply chains
Yeah, for
sometimes.
sure.
Yeah, especially if it's a country that we don't have strong alliance to.
Exactly.
Like you hear of BRICS right now, and their alliance is getting stronger and stronger, and our alliance with those countries are getting weaker and weaker, and they're like the 7 countries that have the top exported goods, and that's not very favorable for us.
Mhm.
If we have to rely on them and they have an alliance and we don't. What was that? Brazil, Russia, India, China, Saudi Arabia,
Yeah.
BRICS, BRICS.
Gotta have our alliance with China.
China. Well, cool.
All right.
Good hot takes.
Yeah, great hot takes for the night. We want to express our appreciation to everyone for sticking with us and all of the support for our channel. And big shout out to Cam for jumping on this podcast with us and being our special guest. We really appreciate his input and especially the hot takes. A lot of good laughs.
We'd love to have you back, Cam.
Yeah,
we'd
love to have you back.
Anytime.
So
Cool.
please make sure that you like this video if you liked it. If you disliked it, that other button seems to do all right as well. Doesn't really work, but can hit it anyway. Make sure you send it to somebody you dislike. And as always, ring-a-ling that ding-a-ling button so you never miss out on any new content as it's posted on the channel. Until the next time, stay classy, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Peace.